Alrighty, folks, the one and only Dion is back for round 2 on BiggerPockets, the main channel. He was just completed an interview with the one and only and amazing Dave Meyer. We're going to get a preview. What was discussed? What were the highlights? Did Dion break his brain? Dion, what's going on, man? Congratulations. The main channel. You are a rock star. It's official.
So it's funny. The one rental at a time community is a bunch of people trying to do very similar things, right? And there's the BiggerPockets community, which is a lot of investors, and it's not all real estate, and it's a lot of different strategies. But it's the communities like this that put out information for people that I wish I'd found any of these communities when I was starting. I found them kind of a little past the midway point, and I'm watching people that have done what I've done. I was like, I've been trying to reinvent the wheel for 5 years. If I'd heard any of this, I would have realized there's easier ways, there's better ways, there's kind of a plan to this that you can do. So I really enjoy interacting with the communities. I'm a moderator for the BiggerPockets Facebook group, so I'm the one that's in there stopping all the anonymous posts that are usually made up anyway. And I'm a teaching assistant for the real estate rookie boot camps when they have their 12-week boot camps, right? So I'm the person that you get all the Zoom courses to answer all the questions when it isn't the information coming out in the course. And so I've guest co-hosted with the Money podcast, which you guys have both been on now. You guys got to interact with Mindy, and I'm super happy we were able to make that happen.
Thank you for that. Mindy's awesome.
She's one of my favorites. Like I'm a Mindy fan. It's pretty cool too, because some of my changes I've made to my leases have been because of things she said that I've never heard before, and then I go into research and I'm like, wow, how did I not know that? And so, and she's not even the landlord investor. She's more of the house flipping house.
Yeah, live in flipper,
right? So I hadn't interacted with Dave Meyer at all. And I've watched a lot of his stuff. I watched recently him and Henry Washington did an episode on how you really don't retire on real estate. And I was like, oh, that's my episode. I got to watch that. And they put in some really good points on, it's not going to happen in 2 or 3 years. And like, okay, we say that all the time. So they were saying things we agree to. And so they reached out and they said, hey, would you like to do another on? They just had Coach Carson on. And I'm like, okay, I get the theme. They're going for right-sized portfolios. So the thing I'm pushing with is hopefully they catch that, once we retire, it's not all about growth mode. It's how do you stabilize and optimize, and we can hopefully get you guys on that channel and share what you guys do. And so this one was, they could take it either way. They could literally put out a title that says, look at these 10 things this idiot told me. Or they can go, here's 10 Dionisms that made early retirement possible. I have no idea, because I'm not like an employee of theirs. They don't have to be nice to me. They can choose whichever way they go. And they should choose the one I think that would get the most views. So if it's the rude one, I'm on board.
Yeah. Again, it's really interesting. It's very clear when you look at the analysis. The catchy, catty titles get more views. So yeah. The 10 things that Dion said don't do, or whatever catty thing. I mean,
and there were some things he literally says, I've never heard that before. I don't believe you. And then we talked for 5 minutes and he's like, okay, I totally see your point. Or in one case, he's kind of like, still gonna do my way.
Yeah, you're still wrong.
Right. Yeah. And so
if like Dave and I would get along great.
Yeah, exactly.
You could. I wanted to say, my friend Matt would say these are all the things I do wrong, but I look at it differently. So let's kind of go over the list really quick, the 10,
sure.
and you guys can tell me how wrong I am.
All right, let's do it.
Sure.
The first one is, and this is the one that I'm kind of known for in BiggerPockets, is I don't raise the rent on my rentals. My tenants do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the binder strategy, Matt was doing this long before meeting me. He sends an email going, hey, here's comps in the area, and this is what's happening to your rent. So it's a version of that, but it's not like I invented this. It's just I clarified, here's the step-by-step process to make it smooth as possible.
I just realized how lazy I was and how I did it, because I only sent text messages.
Oh, there you
go. Was like, this guy prepares a whole nice binder. Like, who's the lazy guy now?
No, I think the binder strategy is
it's awesome.
It is awesome. It's a gold nugget. Every self-managing landlord should do it. Frankly, every property manager should do it. Yep. And you're absolutely right. When you come at it with information and you let them pick the number. So you're absolutely right. The tenants happily, I would argue, raise the rents on themselves. So you're not going to get any pushback from me on that one.
Nope.
Yeah, the next one, and this is one that, and I was clear, and I brought up Matt, and I said, look, this doesn't work in my friend's area, because if you get locked out of your house, you get hospitalized in the winter.
Yeah.
But I prefer my leases to end in the winter. And then I just kind of stopped talking, and I let Dave process that, and I could see him going, that's dumb. I've heard the summer forever, and I have all mine in the summer. So I specifically want my leases to end in the winter.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. For again, I'm not anywhere close to where Matt is. Where it gets to be frozen tundra outside. But yeah, I've actually talked to my property managers, and when I have a choice, I don't mind them entering in the winter. And again, it's kind of like opposites, right? Because again, the winter time is hardest to find people, but it's also the hardest to move, and that's the kind of brain teaser you as a landlord, have to figure out. And there is something to a winter lease. It's actually smart thinking
for where we live, but
Yes.
not for Matt. So Matt,
Not-
would you disagree? I agree with Matt's disagreement in this case.
Yeah. If it's 0 for months, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, like 3 days ago, it was like -3. It was like,
Aye.
F this.
No, thank you.
And that's
So
the thing
here's-
is, like, we get those
Go ahead,
quote,
Matt.
like December, January, February. December, January, February is I want nothing to do with having to rent a property out. We have one coming in February. And
Yeah,
I'm like, I want nothing to do with it, because it's even hard to get people to an open house when it's 7 degrees outside.
You have to worry about frozen pipes, and you have to worry about all that.
It's just you've seen nothing until you've landlorded in a frozen tundra. It sucks.
So I had one end last November. Military person moves away. No problem filling it. Rented out for $19.50. Right, was an increase of about $500 when they moved out. They had one where a tenant purchased a property and moved out in December. I did a video. It was a trashed property. The tenants were super rude when they moved out. Stole all the electric plates and the dryer plug-in and some other stuff. And so I fixed it. Not me. Handyman went in.
Yeah, just be clear. You didn't.
I lifted it. I had over 30 applicants. I did an open house showing one time, and I did a lease signing. So I spent about 2.5 hours total getting this place out of my time to release it out with and it was rented at $20.95. So it went up from $19.50 on my rent study, because now I'm seeing area average $2,200. So I'm just under area market. The other thing was
the Stone Harbor Gray looked beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thanks. No, I think it came out great the way it looks.
It looked awesome.
I blame Chesla. She's the one that color schemes like the banister and all that other stuff. And I'm like, I wouldn't pick any of that stuff.
Go ahead. It's the same. The paint costs the same. Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Right. She's got the eye for that. So the next thing with Dave that I did was all of my deals are from the MLS. I want occupied properties.
Oh.
And he had heard, I want it vacant. I want blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, the binder works because it's occupied. I've been bit once, and it was after having the tenant for 5 years. So
yeah, I mean, so it depends. So this might be a California thing. In today's environment, I don't mind either way, right? However, there was a time from 2020 to 2023, I would not buy an occupied property unless I got the appropriate discount, because at least in California, there was a time you couldn't get people out for 12, 14, 16 months. And I'm not taking that hit unless I get the appropriate discount. So that comes and goes for me, at least.
Yep. Yeah, my area, it's I have a strategy for either way. Occupied, not occupied. Bad tenant going through eviction. That's one of the freedoms that you have in a state that actually understands common sense, and we can get somebody out in 3 or 4 weeks when they're not paying, because the state recognizes it's going to be tough for them to collect their property taxes that aren't $1,300. Our property taxes are $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 on a duplex.
Yeah.
So they want their money. And so, yeah, we kind of do it either way, but yeah, to that end, yeah, either way, we have strategy for both. Either one fits.
Yeah. He didn't like that.
I bet.
Nope.
I bet.
And the next one, which is kind of why they reached out, is I don't want a large portfolio. I want the right amount of cash flow from the least amount of units.
Oh, I mean, you, Coach Carson, if I had to do it again, probably the same. I think that is That is one of the greatest unlocks. I mean, if I could get pixie dust on everybody coming to our event to really get that, I think you guys are onto something. You don't have to be Matt and I's side by any stretch, let alone Pace or Grants or any of these other guys. Just figure out what the number is, get to the number, and be happy, right? And go enjoy life. Yeah.
I think there's a ladder up, ladder down there. I think that's what I honestly believe. I believe that, you can go when you're full of vim and vigor and really excited and really love doing it. And you don't have enough of the ick on you. You can go up that ladder and then you recapitalize and then you go back down the ladder. One of the things that both you and I are in position on Zoom, and even Dion too, even with the size portfolio that he has, is he's ready to potentially downsize just like we are. And so we could downsize, we could put stuff out there, seller finance, we could do all sorts of cool things like that.
Certainly on our horizon for sure.
Yeah. When you get big, the only thing that it gives you is more options. That's it. Just gives you more options.
Yeah.
The one who's nailing it on that is Cody from Cody and Christian. I think you both should have Cody on your channels again because he's right sizing.
Okay.
He got up to over 200 units. He's down to like 130 now. He's divesting of partnerships and he's just like, I got so big that I can come down quite a bit. And now I have the time freedom. And it's like, it's really weird. He's so young to have him. And I don't know. It's weird to have him reach out and say, I'm glad I met you.
Wow.
Because of the way my portfolio is downsized or the right sized or whatever. He says, I probably wouldn't have done that if I didn't know somebody like you. So I have a lot of respect for him. And his portfolio is way bigger than mine, but he's doing that right sizing thing. So he got out of the growth for growth stage.
And it's Cody Davis, right?
Yeah.
Cody Davis. If you want, I'll connect you guys with an email.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have it for some reason.
The big thing is divestiture, right? Where it's like he learned at 23 that partners aren't awesome. Like because no matter what you do, even with two great people, we all know Christian, we all know Cody, they're both great guys. The issue is that whatever goes on in that partnership, it's always hard because anybody always wants to do it the way that they think is the best way. And at best you agree. At worst, you're like, nope, exact opposite.
Yeah, especially at 20. I mean, I could not imagine partnering with someone, that had the same kind of drive, focus, blah, blah, blah. And then again, you're 20. By the time you're 25 or 30, you'll have relationships. You'll probably move. I mean, I just too hard, too much.
It's a lot.
Not for me. Never has been, frankly.
So the next one, Dave understood right away. He was like, oh, that totally makes sense. I think house hacking is a great way to start in real estate, but I also think it's a great way to exit your W-2 into retirement so that I can travel, have somebody live on the property, still don't have a housing expense. That was an easy one.
I think house hacking is a cheat code to wealth. As long as you can we're going to have a speaker at our upcoming event on day 2, the opening session. PTO for Life is going to come in and just drop bombs on people. I think they're on their 9th house hack or something. It's not that you're competing.
Jeff and Slick are awesome. They're actually in my boot camp. This next boot camp that we have. Love those guys. Their passion for it. They're super good at it, and they do the super hack.
No, and let's be clear. They're not stopping until they kick your ass.
No, I know. Absolutely. I already told Ashley. I was like, when they get to 9, because my number's 9, when they get to 9, we're selling. And we're moving out.
How do you enjoy the big house? We're out.
I was like, we're out of this big house, stupid stuff.
Sorry, Dion.
That's okay. No, I think that's great. Jeff and Select are awesome. I'm very much looking forward to seeing them too. That's the kind of people you want to get around for the energy shrapnel.
Yes.
You just absorb for being around them.
Energy shrapnel. I love that.
They still have hope.
I was hanging around Millennial Mike for the chick shrapnel, but with Jeff and Seleka, it's the energy shrapnel, and now Mike's doing that. So.
I don't even want to know what that is. I don't want to know.
The next one I told Dave, this is one like at least is ending in the winter. He kind of blew his mind, and he was like, I don't understand. And then I was able to bring him around. The next one, he was like, he wanted to dig in and fight me on. And then at the end, he said, okay, I can see it. I said, I do not want rentals in a good school district.
Okay, tell me more.
See, so good. So yours is like, oh, I'm open-minded. Let me know. I'd probably disbelieve. But he was like, oh, no. Well, I asked, why is the school district good? they have the tax revenue to spend money on the schools,
Sure.
which means the taxes in that area, that municipality, are the highest in the area. So I don't want that.
Probably.
You age out your tenants. I have tenants in place for 26 years. Then I buy the property. They're there for the next 10 because they're not going, my kid's there for the middle school. My kid's there for the high school. They're off to college. We're going to move to the area we want. So I don't have aged out tenants. I don't want Class B or Class B neighborhoods because the higher income families, if they lose a job, it's harder to replace $150,000 income versus an $80,000 income. Unemployment pays enough to cover the rent. I've had tenants lose jobs, not miss a rent payment, find another job. That the $25 an hour cop in our area goes and finds a $25 an hour truck driving job in our area. Like you can just change careers and you still have that income. So there's a logic chain to why it makes sense to me. I get the idea of you want good school districts for better tenants, but I want consistent tenants.
Yeah, it's interesting. And maybe I've never looked at this hard because I've never had school district as a variable. I always look at the yield. Now, I don't know if this is true everywhere, but in my area, the same house in the best versus worst school, rents will probably be $50 to $75 higher house for house because of the desire, right? There's just the other thing we see, at least in my area, is there's not as many rentals in the best school district, right? I don't know this for sure, but so this will be a best swag. I would guess in my market, let's say Clovis. Clovis is like the number one school in the Fresno County area. I would suspect it's 80-20 owner versus renters in Clovis. It's just a guess. Where if you flip over to 93706 or something, you're probably 40-60 owners versus renters. Right. So that's probably one of the reasons rents are higher because there's not as supply and demand. But I have not noticed, and maybe this is just Prop 13 in California stuffing, that the taxes in Clovis are higher, but not meaningfully. So for me, it's always about yield. But to your point, the price is higher. And I guess closing thoughts on this, I've only ever done one deal in Clovis. And so I have looked. It's hard for that market to produce a higher yield. So I guess I agree.
That's going to be my point is your rents are higher, right? But so is the price point. So the yield is in my area, in the better school district, the yield is non-existent. So
no, now that I just kind of play it out. So it's not that I would ignore a deal in Clovis. If the yield was highest there, I mean, I'm very brain dead simple. Wherever the yield's the highest, I buy. So I did. I bought one in Clovis, but yeah, it's definitely harder. You're right.
Yeah, return on capital for us. I mean, that's always the lead theme. However, we own in all those areas. I think the funny thing about it is that that here private school is very much an option, and there's no private school that's $200 a month or $300 a month. So their option is if I stay here, I got to send kids to private school for them to not be one of 32 kids that has some teacher that has tenure and doesn't care. So. For us, it's much more what we find is that water finds its level.
Yeah.
A lot of parents are just like, I just need them I need them in a school. And so my preference is if I can make sure that the town has a good truancy officer, that's the perfect town for my children.
He didn't like that I am 100% in real estate. This is something I do differently too. I don't diversify. We talked about, I got to go through the Warren Buffett versus Charlie Munger strategy. So I diversify in real estate, but I own no stocks, no crypto, no retirement.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at my portfolio, it's certainly not balanced portfolio either. Yeah.
No, I think thanks to Palantir, I'm now have more than a full percentage point in stocks. At $8, I picked that. Now it's 102. Nailed that one. But
shout
anyway,
out to Tom Nash for that one.
Yeah. So it's, but yeah, as I look at it again, it's just, it's diversification within real estate is still my preference, not diversification outside of what I'm an expert at.
No, yeah, I don't want to play in a casino where I don't understand the rules. I don't know the players. And again, I was burnt by two frauds that were traded publicly for years.
You and me both.
Don't tell me that it can't happen again, because it will.
It's going to happen plenty in the next 24 months.
I think so too.
The eighth thing, and this is the one where he dug in. We were diametrically opposed at the start and at the end of the conversation.
Yeah. Shout out Dave Meyer for sticking.
No, he knows his business, and but we both had, I believe, justifiable, because I agreed with him. I said, based on what you're doing, you're right. None of my properties are or ever will be in an LLC. And his brain just went.
I'm not jumping on that grenade. I'm avoiding that one.
So we can avoid the conversation. You don't have to say you suggest one or the other, because he said, "Well,
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not playing.
He has mostly partnerships," and I said, "That's the case. You need it.
Oh, of course.
Loans, you need it if your lending requires it." And so he saw that, and we'll skip over that so we don't.
Yeah, I'm not playing.
Get you sued. I sued Dion Talk Financial Freedom, because
a trust with lots of insurance is just how I do it. I don't say anybody else should do it that way, but that's how I do it. A trust with lots of insurance.
Yeah. Trust is great. It protects your heirs. I don't care about them, so I don't have a trust either.
That's where we differ. I have to, and I still have a wife.
Yes.
So she's in there.
The ninth one, which he kind of understood, is I don't want to pay off debt. I don't like having my two paid off properties are the ones at more risk. There's no leverage on them to protect them. I'm only getting appreciation on my money, not the banks. I don't.
Well, you could fix that, right?
We talked about that too. I said the two guys that I worked with were like, "You should put some debt on this paid off one over here. You should take care of that." No?
Yeah. Why haven't you got that 50% LTV? I mean, what the freaking heck are you doing?
Man, I hear my mom calling me.
That's a trick.
Trick. And the last one, and this is the one where I talked about how this breaks my friend Matt, the lumberjack landlord's mind.
Oh no!
I don't touch equity. No HELOC, no refinance, no sell for 1031. That this year might be the first year I actually sell one, and that's not because of a 1031. It's because of the IRS 121 rule.
Yeah. So I think this is interesting. Because again, at least where I'm at today, I'm not touching equity either. So I think it's like, what are you comfortable doing? I think Matt and I were very similar. We had a growth mode where it was all gas, no brake. Mm-hmm. Equity extraction, 1031 exchange, all the above. But we also got to the end of the game and we're like, okay, let's rejigger our portfolio a little bit. Let's get it where we're comfortable. And I haven't touched equity in 4-ish years. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. If the market goes the way I think it's going to go in commercial, I can go get a lot of equity. So I'm comfortable doing it. I just see no reason to do it today.
Yeah, I did a bunch of 1031s. I did 2 or 3 last year. I have 2 or 3 more I'm going to do this year. Just because I think that our single family housing market has hit its high. I think we're going to see some flat and correction.
Yeah.
More so, I think we're going to likely see correction based on the numbers I've seen, based on our experience and what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We've seen a down cycle. And the stuff that used to be like everything sells no matter what. And it's just not like that. Even the entry level stuff, they're having trouble qualifying now. They're having a difficult time qualifying. The credit score got tighter. The down payment is the same, but the credit score piece and the income piece is remaining the issue. And so we see a lot more deals go under agreement and then fall out of agreement, and then go under and then fall out. I just had one that did it 3 times. 3 times was a charm to sell the house. 3 times.
I was going to ask you, you had 2 houses that we talked about a bunch last year. What's going on there?
Sold one. So a real quick story there is, sold one. One of them we decided to pull back because we owned the building next door. We found out we could do a lot line adjustment and I could turn it into a duplex. Okay. So best and final use was making it a duplex. The other building, we had it on the market. We had it on for 400. We got an offer. We agreed on an offer for 385. I was like, yeah, sure. Fine. Quick sale. I was still making 150 grand on the deal. So didn't care. And then they did a home inspection. They came back and they countered at 360. And I went back to them and I said, I know the property's better than that. I know you're not only an idiot, but also your inspector was an idiot because I was there. They're morons. And literally had the conversation like that. And the reason I tell that to people is just your first offer isn't always your best offer. It just isn't. Because 4 weeks later, we ended up 3 weeks later, we ended up closing on a deal at 392. not 360. And they were annoyed that I countered them at 385. I don't care. It's my house. You need it.
Yeah.
I don't. I can sell it whenever I want. So tough. So I would just encourage people, your first offer is not always your best offer. And don't be afraid if you really understand your market and you really understand what your asset is. Don't be afraid to understand and weigh the pros and cons of taking a lowball offer, because that's what it was.
No, I like it. I like it. Well, Dion, this is a lot of fun. Again, Dave Meyer, thanks for having our boy on the channel. He's doing it the right way for a lot of audience. I do love the fact that BiggerPockets seemingly has gone very much focused on Coach Carson, small and mighty, Dion with his, understanding the right number. This is what I remember about BiggerPockets. That's why I was such a big component, why I was a featured blogger for years back in the day, and why I was at the first BiggerPockets event in Colorado. Little be known if you ever see that video back with Josh Dorkin and the like. So pretty awesome stuff. Dion, any closing thoughts on this?
The same thoughts I closed that video with. Hopefully it's not edited out. We'll see. But you are going to be alive in 5 years. Start investing like it.
Love that. That's just boom. Matt?
Love that they get a guy like Dion on, knows what he's doing, right size of the portfolio, and it's good to see them back in the corner of the starting and average investor, as opposed to the human origami approach of here's how many ways I can fold myself to come up with a new idea and concept that might be clickable. So excited for that. Excited for real estate investors at large. This is going to put them in a much better position to understand the right ways and areas to focus, like Dion and Coach do.
Yeah. Dave Meyer, if you want to get somebody on that has an amazing story, you got to get the 9th grade dropout who started doing this 20 some years ago and did it tooth and nail. You got to get the Lumberjack Landlord on the main channel. Come on, Dave, step up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.